This television program is about television, and the audience is the star. The audience and television, just about the greatest thing that ever happened, changing the world and changing the people in the world, changing you and me and finding new ways to do it all the time.
For decades, much of what's influenced Canadians has been flashy, expensive, American TV.
Our preferences happen to be towards American television. I find the Canadian programs very dull.
I'd rather watch an American show.
I don't really like Canadian television.
Would I miss Canadian television? No.
Perhaps the only reason there is any Canadian TV, CRTC rules that force broadcasters to fund and show Canadian content. CanCon.
Ultimately, it boils down to a question of how much are we willing to pay for being in control of our own minds.
It's a matter of seeing the world in an autonomous way, with our own eyes, and not adopting other people's problems and other people's solutions all the time.
The rules were championed by the first CRTC chair in 1970.
The chairman of the CRTC, Pierre Junot.
He ignored the outcry from broadcasters.
You're going to come under enormous assault now from the so-called vested interests, from the broadcasters who have the stations and so on. How are you prepared to withstand these assaults?
Oh, we're prepared.
But now, outside of prime time, the CRTC is pulling back on CanCon rules, instead putting in incentives for bigger budget shows in the hopes of emphasizing quality over quantity.
Tearing down barriers to innovation.
The problem with that concept is that you need to have quantity to get the quality. If you only put up 3 shows, there's no guarantee that all 3 of them are going to be massive hits, no matter how much money you put into them.
This media policy consultant says Canadian TV could collapse.
No! Help!
I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on primetime drama, but I think for everything else, it could decimate it.
The system is already facing a mortal threat. Increasingly, Canadians are streaming, and Netflix, YouTube, you name it, aren't regulated like broadcast.
The whole funding system requires broadcast, regulated broadcast. Our business model is dependent on the regulated system for the financing for the Canadian programming.
Last year, the CRTC chair publicly tried to rein the threat of those big American companies in.
The hot point was Blay asking for data.
Again, that's information that we don't customarily disclose.
You're very much at the antithesis of your open platform this morning, Mr. T.
The next step would be, well, now that we see how little you really support Canadian programming despite what you're saying, maybe we're going to require you to.
The CRTC could ask for anything from a tax on the Netflixes of the world to rules making CanCon easier to find. That is, if those companies were playing ball.
Mr. Chairman, can the panel guarantee confidential treatment of that information?
You are not entitled to a special treatment. We are treating you like every other applicant.
CRTC's feeling that it had jurisdiction came up against Netflix and Google thinking, no, you don't, and we're only here being nice. It's still an outstanding issue.
Don't surprise me.
Recognize me?
The bottom line, Canadian TV is attracting international critical acclaim, getting picked up worldwide, and getting ratings within Canada. But its future is as fragile as ever.
We're still living next door to the largest producer of English language programming in the world. If we don't have support, we don't have our own stories.
We have to get ready for the next wave.
The CRTC is hoping that in a sea of choice increasingly impossible to control, less Canada will be more.